Hello and welcome to the instructions for our team consulting project in BMGT 340, Management and Organizational Behavior. Your team is going to use real data collected by me on consulting jobs that I have done, and you will run analyses on this real data to identify key concepts that you believe the organization should work on. In deliverable number 2, you will research at least 2 and up to 4 of the topics that are related to the problems you found. In deliverable number 3, you will develop a list of specific actionable recommendations for the organization. And then in deliverable number 4, you will create and record a professional presentation of your proposed solutions. Deliverable number 1, one of the hardest things to do is to identify what you want to analyze. And so what I ask you to think about is way back at the beginning of the course when we talked about the attitudes that affect behaviors that organizations care about. The data that you will use for this analysis, every single data set includes at least job satisfaction and organizational commitment. Some of the data sets also include productivity in the form of performance ratings, organizational citizenship behaviors, withdrawal, which is often called intention to turnover in the data sets, and actual turnover. And then many of the data sets include some characteristics of the job or the way the organization deals with employees, and many of them also include perceptions of justice. So what I would like you to do is first identify at least 2 outcomes that you're going to study. If your data has behaviors like performance or intention to turnover, those are terrific outcomes to study. If your data has only one of those, then you can also use job satisfaction or organizational commitment as an outcome to study. And then every data set has some kind of characteristics of the job or the organization or perceptions of justice that you can use as predictors of those outcomes. So now we'll discuss the contents for deliverable number 1. You're going to take no more than 5 pages in 12-point font double space to provide a recap of the analysis that you did. So first, I want to see mean and standard deviation on all of the variables. Second, report your correlations between all the variables. Third, run regressions on at least 2 outcome variables. Again, outcomes can include things like job performance, satisfaction, commitment, or intention to turnover. And then 4, interpret your findings. So explain what your correlations and regressions mean and what key themes and concepts are rising to the top. Next, in deliverable number 2, you will conduct research on at least 2 and up to 4 topics related to your findings. So for instance, if you found that procedural justice affected organizational commitment, then you could do additional research on both of those topics. And then say you found that perceived organizational support affected job satisfaction, then you could conduct additional research on those topics as well. So you want to be able to explain your outcomes, and so what you really are looking to do is to conduct research on the factors that you found that influence your outcomes. Then in 3 to 5 pages, 12-point font double space, you are going to summarize each topic and provide additional depth from your research. I want you to use APA standards and provide citations in text and a reference list at the end that shows where you conducted your additional research. For deliverable number 3, your contents are going to include developing a list of specific actionable recommendations for the organization. So what I'm looking for is 3 to 5 doable, actionable recommendations. I want them to be specific and not vague. I want you to base your recommendations on the findings from your research and what you've learned in the course, and use appropriate citations to lend weight, to back up your recommendations. You're going to do a write-up that's 2 to 3 pages long, and again, use APA standards for citing in text and providing a reference list. Finally, deliverable number 4, contents are going to include developing professional presentation materials. So a PowerPoint, a Prezi, some kind of a visual presentation. Then you're going to narrate the slides. You're going to record an audio presentation. And your team members can take turns recording certain slides, or one team member can volunteer to do the whole recording. Whatever works out for your team is fine for me. Your presentation must include some kind of a visual, an agenda, an explanation of your analysis that's going to make sense to folks in the organization. So maybe not as highly technical as the way that you explained it to me, but include relevant numbers so that you're backing up what you found. Providing a summary and interpretation of what you found. Providing the recommendations that you've developed. And then using relevant citations on your slides. Put it as a footer in the bottom of the slide, and a reference list at the end of the slide deck. You will find more detailed step-by-step instructions for each of the deliverables in Moodle under the Team Consulting Project. Most importantly, for deliverable number 1, it shows you how to conduct the analysis. So hopefully that will be very helpful.